Daiquiris. What's up, everybody? Tuesday PGA strategy show here at Awesemo.com. It's a quick turnaround from the Players Championship, which ended, I don't know, not that long ago. But I am Ben Rasa. I am joined, as I always am on these Tuesday afternoons, by Eric Lindquist. The PGA Tour season rolls on to the Valspar Championship. Some carryover in terms of the strength of the field, difficult test, still in Florida. How are you feeling after what was a wild weekend and Monday of golf?
I don't want to say it, but better than you. Anybody who knows you, that loves you, that appreciates your content, that's been watching you for years, that's been literally the beneficiary of everything you've had. We thought we were all going to be able to celebrate you yesterday, having a great opportunity. 5% win equity in the Millie. That's fantastic. You dream of shots like that. And for you to absolutely have the opportunity and to get completely shafted the way you did, I am so sorry, but I'm proud of you for being here, because I think I would be just face first in a margarita.
That sounds worse than not winning Millie. I don't want to do that either. It was terrible. I had an awful Monday. Many people out there know how that goes. Nothing you can do. I'm going to bet out of it by taking many things today, and we're going to focus our energy on Valspar. And what else I'm going to do? I'm going to advocate for our friends at Yahoo Fantasy, as I do to start every single show. If you've not been over there, I've been saying this all year, and there's still plenty of golf left. Different type of structures, fantastic rake, and cool salaries. You can build super teams. A lot of guys at the min. Plus, if you sign up, 1 free month of Awesemo Plus Platinum when you sign up, deposit, and play. You can claim that at awesemo.com/Yahoo-promo right on the screen there. It is a great opportunity. Mr. Lindquist, I know that you've been playing a little more over on Yahoo. We got it on the screen right there. Talk to me about what's going on. And again, then we can get into the players.
Best rake you will find in the industry, bar none. Best contests, because you basically don't have to compete against 10,000, 20,000 entries. You get an opportunity to pay low rake, still have a really nice top prize in a lot of these contests. If you're looking at one spot to be building lineups for PGA, this is the absolute spot. Not really even a question. As good as DraftKings can be for different contests and what we're going to talk about the most, I'm telling you, Yahoo gives you the best contest structure. Yes, and my dog agrees.
Dog agrees. Yep.
There it is. You got the Duke certified agreement.
There it is. Now, we got plenty of time to talk about Valspar. I don't really want to talk about the players for obvious reasons, but I will say, my number one thing actionable is just forget what happened. I don't think that you can draw much into it. We had an absurd weather split. We had just crazy situations and delays, and ultimately Cam Smith gained 12 strokes putting. He had 42 one putts.
My God.
If you do that, you're going to win tournaments, and he can do that slightly more often than other players. He's absolutely unbelievable. Paul Casey tripled the first hole, battled right back. Just a great tournament, all in all, very exciting. And Lahiri was up there, so that was very cool to say.
Yeah, Lahiri. I mean, I was cheering for Bond so hard at the end of that thing. I mean, 0.04% owned in the Millie. That was a ridiculous number to see for your boy. I mean, he's definitely your boy. You're the only one who's ever tried to make him your boy. But God, I was cheering for him so hard. Wish he had hit that approach a little bit closer on 18. Hit a really good chip there as well. Gave himself an opportunity. Wish it had gone in. But Cam Smith, no doubt about it. The guy, 2 PGA Tour wins, him and Scheffler, neck and neck right now. Player of the year in the early going. I mean, we've got all 4 majors still to come here, but pretty phenomenal stuff we've seen out of them of late.
Absolutely. I mean, again, we had a very, very strong field. And now, oh my God, there are withdrawals all over the place. That's great. I only did like 3 pieces of content today, and those pieces all, God, that's so frustrating. All right.
Yep.
So here we go. Paul Casey out.
Yep.
Doug Gim out. Sebastian Munoz out. Anyone else we got? Those are the 3 I'm seeing.
Looking through, yeah, it got weird.
Great.
Sebastian Munoz is withdrawn, so that went there. That's gone. Duke agrees. Paul Casey, Doug Gim, Bronson Burgoon in. Bronson Burgoon, we haven't seen that name forever. Austin Cook, another shout out from the past year in this field now. Yeah, we're going to have more stuff coming up here still. When you get those 5-day lingering, I mean, it was brutal. It was a brutal weekend, and I can't really blame anybody that wants to sit on their couch and not play another really, really difficult golf course and get smashed around again. So if you don't have your head in it, probably an okay thing to just sit at home.
Yeah, I just wish they would have done that before. It goes without saying, and many of you should be hopefully watching. If you're going over to OddsChecker and watching our betting picks and reading some things, context matters for sure. So make sure that you understand. We'll do that. And wow, look at that. Starting off the show with a
Let's
very
go.
generous Javi Rodriguez. Thanks, Jazz Raz. Mr. Postal, you had it quite a week. I believe it was 100K.
100K on FanDuel.
Yeah, saw that screenshot. Just a phenomenal team. So many congratulations. Know you're grinding. It's always great when you put in that hard work and it pays off. Couldn't happen. Couldn't be more excited for you, man. That is really, really cool. And we appreciate you stopping back in with that super chat. More than generous. And we appreciate it. You want to join Team Awesemo? It's right there. Press that join button. All right. So we're going to listen. I think we all know the field could and probably will change further, but we're going to just operate under the assumption that everyone is in who's in. But before we dive into the field, talk to me about what they're going to see here at Valspar, a notoriously tough track at Copperhead.
Yeah, Copperhead course. They've got 2 courses on the property, and this one is just brutal. Over 7,300 yards, but it's a little bit more of a tactician, long iron, forced layup in some spots. I mean, it is everything you could possibly want in a golf course. Recent form, really helpful. However, it's really hard to take a whole lot out of anything we just saw. I mean, it's a bummer that Paul Casey withdrew because he's kind of the template. We talked about it a little bit this morning on our PGA betting video that we did and talking about just all of this madness that exists. I mean, he's the template for the kind of guy you want here. He was a back-to-back winner, 2018, 2019. I will say this definitely opens up what you should be doing right now. If they don't have the betting odds off the boards right now, you should be trying to put as many top 10 bets on some of these top tier players as you possibly can. I'm going to try to get in another Keegan Bradley, 9-1 top 5. I think there's guys like this that you should just be putting bets on if they are not completely off the board here yet, because that is a gigantic piece to be missing.
No doubt. I mean, there's going to be opportunities here. And, this is a strong field. A lot of people decided to, tee it up once again. We've got big names at the top. But yeah, Valspar, I mean, we saw Paul Casey win this back-to-back. I clearly think that you can be technical. Your boy, Sam Burns. Winner.
Oh, he played pretty good here last year.
Yeah, Hadwin is one. Schwartzel is one. Do you think that there is a theme of player, or is it like the players where you can bomb it, you can be short, you can do whatever you want, and you could be successful?
See, it's interesting because you look at a guy like Sam Burns, and last year here, he was top 5 in tee to green. He just put on some of these wins. He's going to just go out and put on ball striking performances. He's never missed a cut here. Obviously, he won this title last year, but he also was 3rd in strokes gained putting. It's an all well-rounded type golfer. I do give a little bit of a bump just because, you talk about some of these par 3s that exist out here. You get number 3, 455. You're basically hitting a long iron into that one. 8, 235 yard par 3, 13, 200 yard par 3, 15, 215, 215, number 17. You get 5 par 3s that exist here on this par 71. It really does stick out a little bit more for a long iron specialist. If you can see any kind of a bump there, guys who can really gain in that category, I think that that's something that I want to have. But as you said, well-rounded players, kind of being able to gain strokes in multiple facets. That's just saying, I want the guy who can play the best to win. Or in my lineups, like no shit you do, but it's true. There's different ways to go about playing here. It can be done different ways, but for the most part, I think just a little bit of a bump to iron play. Yeah,
I don't have a ton. You're gonna have to scramble here. The greens and regulation percentages is a little lower. But you could get out of trouble. It's not that big a deal. You're not going to be bombing it most likely. Driving distance, not a huge factor for me. So you can look at that. Dave Jones won $200 on DK Golf. The players, I love to see that. Good luck, sir.
Keep this is amazing. Right off the bat.
Member. Yes. No, we had as a community and as a team, just an awesome showing. A lot of people, friends of the show, taking down major things. And that was really cool to see.
Yeah, I love it.
Yeah, no, win some, you lose some. We were all very close, though.
You could be sprinkling with your $1 million to everybody.
Well, you know what? We were close. All you want to do is give ourselves shots, and that's what we're going to do this week. Top tier: Justin Thomas, Victor Hovland, Morikawa, Xander, who I tried to play, and we saw what happens when I play him. DJ, Usti. Let's start with the 10K North, though. There's 5 guys. JT leads us off. His bogey-free round in the second round, one of the best rounds you'll see of the year. Incredible in the wrong wave. These guys, a lot of them played good. DJ closed with a massive Monday. What are your thoughts at the top?
Yeah, JT is going to be kind of a clear-cut guy for me at 11K. I think it'll be a little bit different. Hovland coming off of another good showing, and I don't know. It's always fun to see what happens to a young kid when you get your feathers ruffled a little bit here. I'm curious to see. I don't think he'll be that affected by it, but very fascinating what happened between him and Daniel Berger there, and of course Joel Dahman on that number 16, the shot that Berger took the drop on. I don't know. We'll see if he can just kind of erase that and put it out of his mind. Sometimes with a young kid, you're used to being really, really liked, and then something like that happens. I think he was probably in the right. I can't really tell what that line is. Most of the time, you give every PGA Tour player the benefit of the doubt, but they were trying to protect the field there. I think Hovland should be just fine here, but I love JT coming off of last week, which was more brutal for him than most of these other top tier guys because he was not just in the wrong wave, but he had to be stopping a little bit more than most. Good to be back on what looks like it should be decent here for 4 days. And JT, if we're going to see the putter kind of regain form, and it looked a lot better than we had seen in weeks past, I think I'm willing to fire him up.
Yeah, I mean, I think that JT can and should be and will be the favorite. Showed signs, never really threatened, but he was always lurking. He put in a solid showing there. And I just think his skill set translates. He can wedge the course to death. If he keeps it in there, he's incredible at getting out of trouble. We saw that time and time again at Sawgrass. Talk to me. I just want to ask you specifically 2 guys. Who do you think is more likely to bounce back after a miscut, Morikawa or Xander?
That's an interesting question. I mean, for this golf course, I like Morikawa's skill set a little bit more.
Okay.
Just as a pure iron player, Xander, we've seen it for years from him as well. I mean, it's kind of almost a negligible difference between the two, but just because of their skill sets, the way that I just value Colin Morikawa, it's not that Xander's some slouch in terms of iron play, and around the green, neither of them are particularly strong compared to the rest of the field. Xander is the better putter. But overall, I think Morikawa, just with the bump that we can give his iron play as being like the best at that certain skill set, I'll slightly edge his way.
I think I would agree. I worry about him. I went back and forth on him last week, and I was able to kind of get away, which is good. I did roll some of it to Xander, which was terrible. And Hideki, which was also a problem, but that's
problematic. Do you have to play in the golf tournament in order to accrue fantasy points?
But Morikawa, when his irons are on, he can mask everything else. They were not on at Sawgrass, but it was a wacky situation. I don't read a ton into that. Last guy, Dustin Johnson, man. I mean, it was a ridiculous Monday. I don't read a ton into it. Crazy putting, but he obviously still has it. I think we all knew that, and we saw it. Does he carry that momentum in, or is he just kind of where he should be?
I mean, I kind of wrote him off, and that Monday, it's hard to read just one round and say, oh, that's it. But that's the Dustin Johnson we've been missing out on forever. The guy who has that capability to just kind of have that one round of golf that vaults him up a leaderboard. We've seen it time and time again where he can put his foot down on the gas and just run away with golf tournaments. And I mean, that's the first time we've seen signs of life from DJ, period. 63 went completely nuclear. You needed him for showdown. You needed him for pretty much anything for pertaining to Monday there. To first top 10 that we've seen of him from the season, first top 25 of the season, or 25th at the Farmers, excuse me. But looking at DJ, I think this is going to be kind of the wild card. And now with no existence of a Paul Casey at 9,500, that was going to be a guy I was going to be very overinvested to. I kind of have to be looking a little bit higher. I think Lowry is going to be pretty popular. Even we've got him at 10.5%, but something tells me coming off of last week that people just kind of are becoming comfortable rostering him, regardless of conditions or course. Seems to just kind of be all right now. I might find my way to get a little bit up more to Louis, more to Dustin. I think I'm okay with taking those kind of shots here. It'd be an uncomfortable build going JT and him with some of the guys on the bottom end, but I'm probably okay with it on this slate a little bit more than I was at the Players, where you had so many guys in the 7K range I wanted to roster.
Yeah, I think I can get away with that. For me, if I don't get to JT, I will try to bump down. I've been shorting Hovland. It hasn't killed me. It is not working per se either. Great because he gets hole in ones, but I do think his around the green game at times can leave. His short game stands out amongst the elites as a serious problem, and it's still a problem. So we'll see there. But let's talk about the nines. Louis, this is a good track for him. I wouldn't be even remotely surprised if he won. Hatton, Lowry, Burns, no Casey, Brooks, Answer, Kokrak, Fleetwood, Fitzy. A lot of guys, some price bumps after a good showing, and then some other guys kind of right where they've been. I assume you're comfortable starting in the nines on certain teams.
Oh, absolutely. I certain teams, Sam Burns is there. I like that click. That'll be fun. Over invested to him every week. I think people understand that by now. That was the guy that I ended up fading for you. I sacrificed him to the gods and said, you know what?
Thanks.
You're welcome. But then also I'm sorry because everything else is a disaster. But Sam Burns will be the guy in the nines for me. I'm happy starting teams in that direction. What do you think about Louis' iron play lately? Because I don't really know what to think about this. We had talked about his neck and some injuries. He's so good around the greens, and that's going to continue here. Was flat with the putter at the Players, but he's now lost 4.8 and 1.6 strokes gain approach. And I know that becomes high variance because of water. Less of an issue. I mean, there's still water around this track in spots, but I don't really know what to think about that here because it can be so high variance from time to time. In Florida with some of these spots, I generally think of him as a really good iron player who can gain massively in that statistic. And if you can kind of just see that even regress to being flat, off the tee game has been ridiculous here of late for Louis. Do you see any issue with his iron play?
Oh, really? I mean, he had serious issues on Monday, yesterday. He melted, but no, he's gained around the green in 5 straight. He's been fantastic off the tee. He was flat with the putter, which that's problematic considering when he was really playing well in 2021, he was gaining a healthy amount of strokes every week with the putter. But we've seen him here. The guy knows what he's doing. He was runner-up in 2019, and he actually lost 2 strokes on the approach that same week. So it's not like he has to be Chris with the irons here. Of course, that's more of an outlier than anything else. But at the same time, I think Louis is going to be just fine. The guy I'm interested in, though, is Hatton, who quietly was never in the tournament, 13th. Now, he did it all with the putter. He's been rolling it comically good on this Bermuda, but he's also a really good Bermuda putter. So what do we do with that? I mean, he's gained 8 strokes putting at API and the Players, 2 straight weeks.
He's done this stuff, though. We've seen RSM where 2020, he actually putted a lot better that week than what the numbers show. It was like 0.4 strokes game putting. He melted down in that final round. Abraham Answer was in that group, I believe. Just very vivid memories of how brutal that was to roster because I thought we were going to get away with something. Then he lost 1.8 there last year. But like on Bermuda surface, you talked about it. I mean, the Arnold Palmer is like his jam. He plays there well every single time. And now if it's going to carry over here to the Players and such, I mean, yeah, comical putting is the right way of saying it. But decent in the irons, just gaining a little bit there around the green. I mean, he's never going to be like the pure ball striker. He's somebody who can spike very, very heavily in that department. He's obviously, if you watch his demeanor on a golf course, it shouldn't surprise you that he's up and down. It shouldn't surprise you that he's somebody that can think he's the best golfer on planet Earth or a piece of what. So I am willing to embrace that kind of variance here in this spot. Now, I will say amongst everybody here in this 9K and like 95 and up, he's got the highest, I think, cut equity, especially DJ, what we're kind of seeing out of him. He had a really good first round and then really good final round there. I mean, I would have said him coming into it, but I think it's probably Hatton. He is he's going to be somebody I'm going to have to be very sensitive to what his ownership comes in at, because it wouldn't surprise me that if it just ends up being like, 1 or 2 strokes game putting, that he's packing the trunk and heading home on Saturday.
Yeah, again, I think, the tools here at Awesemo, I will rely heavily, as I always do, on them to see exactly what we're getting here, because there's a lot to sort through in the nines. But I want to talk specifically about Matthew Fitzpatrick. I bet him at 28-1.
Oh, did you?
Yeah, I did. And
God,
if you look at our expert picks article, I'm the one who wrote him.
Oh my God.
That's because I get to write that article.
What time did I wake up for you this morning to do that freaking video on demand?
It's like 4:00 in the morning and you're DMing me like, hey, do we have that's what I want to talk about. Is picking these slappies.
It's normal time for you. And again, I know golf is a sensitive topic for you right now, but we got to be professionals here.
Well,
I'm just saying.
Talk about Matthew Fitzpatrick, who we both clearly like in the bounce back. I don't read anything, zero into his miscut. I hope people are somewhat alarmed by that. I'm not at all. I think this is a great spot for him.
He's going to be my highest owned golfer this week. And I can pretty much tell you that on Tuesday, just knowing what the public sentiment is around him. He's at 20%, but I'm going to jam. I'm going to play a lot of him. I'm going to bet him. 28-1 is the prevailing number that I brought up on the video on demand that we did for the PGA betting deal. And yes, you wrote him up. So astute of you. Very proud of you. But Matthew Fitzpatrick, he got the terrible wave. He was slamming putters. He was not having a whole lot of fun. He lost 2.9 strokes game putting. Now, how could you ever think that one of the best putters on planet Earth is just going to have that routinely happen? It lingered at the end of last year, but for the most part, he is just so good rolling it. He had come into the Players playing phenomenal golf. I was overinvested. Yeah, he was one of the biggest chalk busts you're ever going to find in a PGA tournament. But if the public's worried about him, $9K is way underpriced for his amount of talent. This golf course fits his game perfectly. Everything that we're talking about in terms of iron play, being able to roll the rock, having Bermuda splits, being somebody who lives in Florida. He's got his brother in the field this week too. Alex, his brother, ended up winning the collegiate tournament that got him into the field.
I didn't even know he had a brother.
He does. His brother's a stud, by the way. Alex Fitzpatrick. He's down there at 6,100 to 6K. Don't think I'm going to be rostering a whole heck of a lot of that, if any. But I will say, Fitzy lineups might be a fun thing to click on once or twice.
I don't think Chase is here, but his brother, Mr. Brooks Koepka, is.
There you go.
Anything for Brooks? He was terrible, but he was in the wrong draw.
Yep, wrong draw. Problematic there. This just kind of comes down to his number's pretty short here, and it's only going to get shorter with the absence of Casey. Probably not going to be a bet for me. We know the amount of variance. So when I'm talking 9,500 and up, I basically drew the line at 9,400 because you know what you're getting into with him. It could be really, really bad, or it could be like what you got at Scottsdale, where he can be the low-owned GPP guy who can vault you to the top, finish third. You needed to have him to win that golf tournament. So I think in large field stuff makes a lot of sense. Going to still be difficult for me to land on him in anything 20 max, 3 max. Maybe, you know what? I'll think about it a little bit more because you got to be thinking that the form is going to return. And as you said, the Players, wrong draw, Honda 16th, just kind of meh, but at least kind of grinded out a showing there. We very rarely see him fall in the old 16th category. It's usually the epitome of boom bust. So maybe I'll think about it a little bit more in terms of 20 max, 3 max stuff. But as it stands right now, definitely somebody for large field. It's not too hard to get over the field on 6% of a guy with multiple major championships.
Yeah, I may hang on to him a little bit, especially if I go balance and I'm going to get 2 or 3 guys in this 9K range. As we work down, Jason Day leads us off, 8,900. Bubba Watson, who, say what you want. Bubba did make the cut, and then he imploded. Noren, HV3, Woodland, Keegan, Webb, Kisner. So a lot of guys who had some big finishes, and they get a price bump like Kisner. And then some guys that didn't do anything, and they're kind of where they were last week. How do you decipher that? Just talk me through this 8K range and what stands out to you.
Yeah, Keegan Bradley obviously collapsed towards the end. I believe the double bogey cost him $1 million to finish out. That wouldn't feel good to me if I could just go par, but those are 2 difficult spots under pressure, and they're built to do that. They're built to make things very, very difficult on you, regardless of how well you're playing. And Keegan Bradley, my God, 5th losing strokes gained putting, coming off a week where he actually gained 3.7. He's one of my favorite bets. He's a guy that I'm going to be targeting. I think the field, unfortunately, is probably going to be targeting him as we get closer to lock here. He's at 15%. Once again, the domino effect of losing a guy like Casey, losing a guy like Munoz. There were both guys who played very, very well last week. Is that ownership's going to go somewhere else? I'm worried that Keegan Bradley might get steamed up beyond this 15% we've got him projected for right now. But as it stands in the 8K range, I like him. I'll let you talk about this uppers because you have Alex Noren, who's yo boy, and then Jason Day, who I know you like for this week as well. Jason Day feels a little overpriced to me, but you're getting him at like 5%. I don't know how you don't like that for tournaments.
Yeah, I like Day a lot. I bet Day at 50-1. He's struggling with the irons, but the core of his game is the short game, is the putting, and all of that is secure. Once again, he's gained around the green in 5 of 6. He's gained with the putter in 6 of 7. There's no glaring issues with the irons. It's just not the strength of his game right now. I think that's more than sufficient. But if you want the guy who's just striping it, who is, besides Munoz, just the other guy that I've just been playing all year, and he's been an ATM, it's Alex Noren. Noren makes the cut every week. He's putting in solid returns. Now his price is starting to get up there. He gained 5 strokes on the approach at the Players, came in 26th. He was 5th at Honda. I just keep trusting him. Now, this is the most expensive we've seen him, but I'm still okay with it. I'm not trying to victory lap here. This is a serious question. But after seeing what you saw with Webb, are you a little more hesitant after last week, or do you say, you know what, maybe he's working back into form?
I mean, not comfortable.
Okay.
He's 8,300. He shot 75, 74, but a lot of people shot 75, 74 last week. I mean, it's so hard because there's guys like Louis where he's fine from his injury, and you talk about it case by case basis. There's no injury reporting in golf. It's self-reporting or what they tell other people. And it's hard to know what the extent is. You could have your neck hurting on one side and it could affect you a certain way. And then you has hurt it on the other side. It could be completely different. It's so hard to know. Every swing's different. Every body type is different. I don't think there's a one size fits all for the way we're supposed to handle something like this. All I know is that he's got so much talent beyond what that 8,300 tag is. He's only 11%. God, it's going to be something where I think I probably would have to pull the trigger over top of that. I mean, you're going to see Russell Knox at the identical number in terms of ownership as Webb Simpson. Just think about that for a second. Russell Knox and Webb Simpson. I know Russell Knox could be a good ball striker and such, but I mean, come on. These guys are not in the same remote caliber. So another week, maybe he can mend up after missing a cut. Didn't have to grind it out anywhere beyond, what everybody else did. He was able to take the last couple of days off. Maybe that can be a good thing that we can draw some positives from.
Possible. I'm going to obviously stick with my formula. I need to see something from Webb. I've been fading him. I don't think he's healthy. Eventually he's going to turn the corner. I'm just not sure it's this week. I'm not saying I'd play Knox. I would probably try to find the money to get Day or Noren or Keegan. I don't know what to do with Kisner. I liked him a little last week. I talked about him kind of as a dark horse, but he was 1% owned. And I had him in the betting markets a little bit. Cashed some of them, obviously didn't cash any outrights with him, which would have been nice, even though it was just a couple bucks. I don't know what else I want to do here. Tringale, to me, that doesn't really stand out. He's the last man in the 8s.
I truly think that Kevin Kisner is not a good play this week. We've seen these top heavy finishes from him. 8th Century, 3rd Sony, 4th Players. That's between miscut, 38th miscut. So there's some bipolar golf going on a little bit here, but he gained 6 strokes around the green. He gained 6 strokes putting. And I mean, he's the kind of guy who can do that with the putter from time to time, but it can go south in terms of the approach. He's now lost almost 2.5 strokes gain approach. He did lose 2.5 last week, but 2.3 at the Arnold Palmer. The irons are just not there. And, this isn't going to be it's a tough golf course. There's no doubt about it, but it's a little bit different test. I don't know if I want to be looking at Kevin Kisner in a just grind it out, knowing that I've got a shot because the elements are just, pulling guys like Rory JT back to me. I don't know if that's like Kevin Kisner wanting to fire him up here again at 10%. Feels a little chasey to me. He's probably the one guy down here that I'm just vehemently against playing.
And I'm not going to push back on that. I get it. He did all the work with around the green and the putter. And like most guys, the time to cash in on Kisner was last week. Now you're chasing. It doesn't mean he can't play good 2 weeks in a row, but it's just a different situations. All right, let's get down to the 7K range. But I do want to say, obviously, yes, the Valspar is good. But you know what also is good? March Madness, baby. And we've got all sorts of things. We have a fantastic bracket. contest, the man behind the glass, Tyler, helped organize that. So if you want to do that, we've got our Awesemo bracket contest. Click the link in the description of the video and enter by signing up. You need a YouTube membership for the channel, but first place of this bracket will receive a free year of Awesemo Plus and premium betting picks access with prizes going to the other top 10 finishers. And I'm going to combine them all because that's fantastic. But if you're saying, I would love to play in that, I don't know anything about college basketball, well, we've got you covered. Matt Kajeski, who's the best in the business, his package and the entire team, the last day for the promo for that is today. $10 off our March Madness package when you use the promo code MADNESS at checkout. Again, all this information is there, or you can go to awesemo.com/promos. If you want to bet college basketball, if you're doing a bracket pool, or you want to just play the DFS and get those projections, this is a good time to get in. Easy money, a lot of value, premium betting picks in our Discord. All of these things are new initiatives. Eric does a great job with it. I'm on there. Alex, the entire team. Good times. I can't wait for Thursday and to see these games get underway.
It's going to be a blast. Cannot wait myself either. I just have to tell you guys, if you want to know what you're dealing with by signing up with Mr. Kaczewski, with Mr. Rasa over there, they picked a 15 seed against a 2 seed last year outright. Oral Roberts, Ohio baby. State. It was one of the dumbest things that I've ever seen. I flat out bet it. I wish I had bet more on it. I think I bet like $100 or something on the money line. And I mean, my God, what an absolute smash call by both of you. That's the kind of stuff that you're getting. There's going to be no corners overlooked. The secret team is playing in the 16-16. I'm excited to get your betting pick on that one. You're going to want to check out the secret team. You're going to want to check out all of these matchups because I bet they have them locked and loaded. Oh, and go Blue Devils, go Cyclones, and go Jackrabbits.
Go Jackrabbits. Yeah, Abilene Christian last year. It was a good time. We're going to try to keep those times rolling. If you guys have any questions on any of that stuff, at Eric Lindquist, at JazzRaz DFS. But let's talk about the sevens. Bez, Hadwin, Bern Wiesberger, why not? Aaron Wise, who was the one guy on Monday who actually played okay. He just couldn't do any things. Munoz is withdrawn, Gim is withdrawn, Molinari, Redmond, Denny McCarthy. So we're starting to get to, some PGA Tour regulars, guys that were in the sixes last week. Now they're in the sevens. What do you do here? What do you say?
I see Aaron Wise needs to maybe extend his putter by another 12 inches.
Double broom
it, because he needs to putt like something like this back and forth, because right now it is not happening. It has been brutal to watch. Did you watch any coverage of him putting during that round?
Of course. He was like one of the main guys on that team.
Yeah, it was. So you didn't have fun doing that either, because he should have shot like 64.
I mean, again, not that anyone cares about this, but it was like, all right, if Wise could pick it up, I'm in business. And then it turned out it was not him. It was the other 5 that needed to pick it up. He was the only one, but he lost 5 strokes putting, gained 6.5. He is close, but can he fix it? I mean, there's a reasonable question. He's not even remotely close to fixing the putter.
No. Hey, if we could be flat with the putter, if we could be flat with it, like he was at the beginning of the year, you'd be in such business. And this is kind of just like that mental thing where if you're hitting the ball really, really well and you think you're supposed to be making putts and they're not necessarily going in and it snowballs. I mean, there's something mental going on more so than, well, that, and technically he's using a 40-something inch putter that just doesn't work. So problematic here right now. I hope he can fix it, but now we're talking about him up in the sevens, and yeah, it's a weaker field. He's just a stripe show, but I suppose Munoz ownership has to go somewhere. We were both interested in rostering him this week, and from what we talked about this morning, and I just don't think that I can really fire up a popular. If he's going to be popular, we'll kind of see what happens to the Munoz ownership, because now that's a 0%. But I think Aaron Wise is going to end up being the popular guy here. He's 10%. Everybody else is going to be lower owned than him in this range. That might make him more likely to be a write-up for me, especially because I do like Fitzpatrick. I like going to some of the chalkier guys here in this 9 and 8K range.
Yeah, I mean, again, this comes down to what are you looking for? Like, you're going to be able to find some somewhat stable players, I think. You go for some pure ball strikers. You could go for, like I said, Wise is heading up team no putt, but at the same time, he's also at these things. When you're finding the weekend and 6-6 is so low, you want him to be better, but he could still score. So it's not like he's been killing you by any stretch. I'm going to say the same thing about Denny McCarthy. I've said this for weeks. He's making the cut every week. And yes, he's not doing much with it, but you know what? I can live with that because there's still upside there. If you can just hang in, he's gained strokes putting in 6 straight. He gains strokes putting every week. I have no problem with that. What about Schwab?
What can Schwab do for you?
Yeah, man. What can he do for us? Is he going to be starring in future commercials, or is he going to be cashing tickets for us? When I've seen him, he's been good.
I mean, for all the content that does not exist here because we had a Monday finish yesterday, the old Twitter.com has Matthias Schwab showing up a lot in a lot of places. You know what I'm talking about. Because again, that's one of the best research spots you can go. Go to Twitter, go bounce around. There's some sharp people talking about sharp things. And I've seen a lot of talk about Matthias Schwab. Something tells me he might get steamed, but he goes in the Denny McCarthy bucket of, man, he's putting well. So maybe we should roster some of that. 7th at Honda, 7th at Puerto Rico, comes back over here. I think I'm okay taking some shots so long as the ownership doesn't get to any kind of a serious extent. Yep. I mean, these are the kind of guys that are going to make or break your week. Obviously, you have to get all 6 right, and that's where it's different. Like in the betting markets, you're able to identify your points of leverage, recognize where there's value, and kind of hammer and take advantage of it. In DFS, I'm just so conscious of, if everybody else thinks that Aaron Wise is going to be the best play in this range, and I don't think there's any doubt he's the best ball striker in this range. Maybe Doug Gim from what we saw last week. Welcome back to, the land of the living, Doug. But I think Matthias Schwab is a guy that can really make a difference for you at a little bit lower ownership. I mean, we've got him at 7.6%. Maybe that's true because of how much I've seen his name on Twitter, but I'm more inclined to think that Wise is going to garner a lot of attention. And I think he probably goes a little bit by the wayside. So your boy McCarthy, he's going to be, under 10%. You're going to have Schwab under 10%. Kazire will be the chalk of the range. And I like him most weeks. But again, I just don't know if there's any kind of a difference between rostering a Schwab and a Kazire right now.
Yeah, I'd agree. This is definitely a good game theory range. Doc Redman, who Chad just pointed out, he's made 4 or 5 cuts, really crisp with the ball striking at the players. It's tough because you can look at it as an indicator or you can look at it as nothing. Like for me, Mackenzie Hughes missed that cut. Doesn't really matter to me. Like I'm going to evaluate him as I always would. And I'll probably do the same with Redmond, but he is starting to find that he's gained with the irons in 4 or 5. His around the green game is straight broken. He's lost in 7 straight. You could put him with Hovland. Pair him up if you think around the green is not brutal. Maybe that's an advantage that those guys can have.
Yeah, Doug Gim withdrew. I just wanted to double check on that one.
Yeah, Doug Gim, you can put him with Munoz and Casey. If you're going to play one guy who's withdrawn, you might as well play all 3 just for the screenshot equity. So don't do that, though. Anyone else, like CT Pan is in this range, Lanto. We're getting a lot of guys that are not long hitters. But as I think we've shown, driving distance is not a prereq here. You can be crafty. I don't mind these guys. I think that ownership will tell the tale, though.
Yeah, I think it will too. It's going to be kind of capitalizing on some of those guys. I mean, can we have Joel Dahman? Can we talk about him, the savior of the people, coming off of a back and forth, which I don't know. I can't tell anything from a shot tracer as far as this goes. But I
assume that, normally when 2 people say something and one person, I would assume that him and Hovland are right and Berger was wrong.
I'm going to side with that too.
Yeah. And I'm sure it was just miscommunication. He's got the big hat. I would listen to him. He looks like a rules official. Big Joel Dahman fan, and he's playing good golf.
Yeah, that's what I'm getting at. Looks like a rules official. Strokes gained above rules officials. Oh man, they do wear like bucket hats. Yeah, it's the Florida thing, especially. I mean, that's kind of what it is. I mean, Joel Dahman, coastal track specialist. This isn't a coastal track, but it's still his preferred type surface. I mean, it's close enough. Whereas it's a resort course. If we want to go there, probably the hardest resort course ever created by God. But whatever. I just kind of like the form that we've had of him now gaining some strokes putting. He's never going to just like stand out in terms of like, oh, he's smashing the golf ball. He's never going to be that guy. It hasn't been very good around the green, but his ability to pick up strokes in just ridiculous ways with the irons from time to time kind of reminds me of the Houston Open, 5th last year. Needed to have him in that lineup. The Corrales Punta, you don't have strokes gained, but let me tell you, watched a lot of that. He was a stripe show. He can really gain in that department from time to time. The putter is always something that can run hot with him. I don't mind taking shots being over the field on guys like that, where there's at least, we've seen some form of it. Obviously, he was not necessarily in the mix, but he played very, very well last week. He's at 10%. I know that's off-putting, but if I'm going to be going low on to like a Brooks Koepka, I think going with like a Joel Dahman is just fine for me.
Yeah, Dom, like I said, no problem there. And we're going to get into a pretty wide range. I don't think that I'm looking to really pump it up potentially in some of the nines. Like I'm going to be aggressive, and I think you are too. If you're really aggressive up there, you have more shares to kind of spray at the bottom, and I'm going to have probably decent exposures to Schwab and McCarthy and Wise and these guys that we're talking about, Dom, and I can get 2 or 3 of them on certain rosters. Is there anyone else in the sevens? Grillo? So Grillo, just real quick,
I was going to say, this is your range. 7K, you've got Kuchar, you've got him, you've got all of your boys down here. Sam Ryder, you've talked about once upon a time.
Sam Ryder. Okay. So now we got a couple things we got to talk to here.
Oh, yeah.
1, Grillo, I believe, was 4 under going to 17.
Yep.
And no joke, he was 15 over like 10 holes later. So he did some bad things. He's not playing good. I think we can get rid of him. Now, Sam Ryder is a cheat code because he doesn't even play good, and he's in the optimal winning lineup every week because he holds out for eagle or gets a hole-in-one on every single event. The guy's come in 61st and 60th the last 2 weeks, and he's been on the winning 5-5-5 lineup. I don't understand how. It's all short game. If you want to go really crafty and say, like, I want to play Kisner, I'm looking at Mackenzie Hughes, Jason Day. Okay, I could make a case that he belongs in the portfolio, but I don't know how you play these guys over Dahmen, who's just $100 more.
Yeah, I love Dahmen. It's weird. I can't remember a single time where I'm like, oh, Joel Dahmen, I need to roster that guy. But he definitely stands out for me this week. And I think I do like Sam Ryder a little bit. I will say he's like Russell Henley light. It's a little bit of that.
Albatrosses. That's good.
Albatrosses and eagles.
Like, what are we doing here?
It's not ideal. He was in like 8 of the 10 lineups ahead of you when you were 10th in the millie. I was just like, you've got to be flat out effing me. But I'm fine going to some of him. I want to get your Matt Kuchar take at the door here as we go out.
So let's take a look. Let's look at Matt Kuchar.
He's annoying.
He's a guy that, again, close, not able to get through. You have to seriously wonder where it is. He's missed 3 or 4 cuts. He was 6-7 at Genesis, but and I'm not saying that it's all going to be fixed, but it is off the tee centric. He's lost 4 straight off the tee. Everything else is completely fine in the game. So I think that if you're building, certainly if you're building 150, if you're looking for maybe a 1% or something, I'm okay with it. I'm going to hold on still. I don't think you need to isolate. I don't think you need to hone in and single entry, but I'm okay with Kuchar being in the pool. I think he's a lot closer than it would indicate. And at 7K, the break-even point on that is almost making a cut. Like, you score a little bit and you're just fine.
Well, I mean, you talked about him before the Sony. I laughed. He went out and got 7th, and you laughed at me, and that was fair. And then I got exposure at Pebble. That didn't go well. I got exposure at Phoenix. I lowered it down a little bit. That didn't go well. Genesis really didn't go well. Players really didn't go well. Maybe I'll play like 4% this week or 2%.
And then I'll win.
But my God, 8% and 10%. I don't know if I can stomach anything like that again, because I feel like I'm just like setting money on fire or throwing it out my car window, and neither of those are fun.
Again, it's more about, I think you have to start asking yourself why. You know, I like to ask myself that a lot when I build, because I build by hand. Like, why is this guy in the lineup? Is it because I need leverage in ownership? Is it because I think he has a legitimate chance to crush his range? Is it a dead range and he's the only guy I like and I love the other 5? Looking at the lineups right now, and I haven't built on a Tuesday afternoon, to me, it would be more so that I need something creative that I'm not, because I find guys right above him that I like better. So for me, it's like, okay, I'm trying to really leverage with Kuchar. I think you can do that in a range that doesn't have much else. All right, we're going to get into the 6s, talk about some bets, talk about some builds, and then we'll pass it on to the NHL fellas. That is true. NHL Strategy Show at 2 p.m. Great group. If you like the ice, and I bet some hockey, definitely listen to those guys. Also, this is the true hardcore loyal contingent. I know no one wants to talk golf the day after a tournament. There's some fatigue. If you're here and you're hopping in, we appreciate you guys sticking with us. You want to support the show? Easiest way, hit the like button. If you want to join, you want to be part of the 75,000 person crew that we've got here, just press subscribe and you are in. 6K range. If you want to go JT and DJ together, you're going to need to find someone here. We've got some names starting with Pat Perez and Zach Johnson, who takes illegal practice swings. What else do you see in the upper 6s?
What is going on? I mean,
how do you do that more than once?
I don't know. Whatever. He's like, when I was in college at Iowa State, obviously he would come and like use our practice facility and come hang out there. Never talked to me, never said hi to anybody. It was annoying. So I'm kind of a little biased, but Zach Johnson, respectfully, just a little bit biased. Ryder Cup captain, I'll cheer for him there. But 6,900, he's just a weirdo. I don't really know how I click that. Pat Perez is the only guy gaining any traction. I think that makes some sense. But I do have kind of a deep flyer, and that's JJ Spawn. I think JJ Spawn has to be somebody that you at least consider here in this spot. It's not a comfortable roster whatsoever, but we've seen some flashes. He started off, had a great first round at the Arnold Palmer. Everybody played poorly there over the weekend. I'm kind of willing to throw that out. He was in the bad weather draw. I'm willing to throw that out. The Honda Classic, T30th there, played really nice in the final round, 68. One of the better numbers you're seeing from that final round. I think JJ Spawn is actually somebody remotely in play here. AT&T Pebble Beach, 16th as well. You know, not a guy that's going to be super, super flashy, but if he can keep it together for 4 rounds, I do think that he's playing a lot better than what we've seen the last 2 weeks. And I think the cut in T52 might mask a guy that's actually playing pretty well. I'm willing to write off the last 2 weeks for anybody that I saw stuff previous. And, you know, before that had made 4 or 5 cuts.
Yeah, I think that JJ Spawn is the type of player that he kind of, in my mind, he only has certain tracks that he can realistically succeed on, and this would be one of them. Some of the other things that demand it can be tough. He just imploded with the putter at the Players. There's nothing to say. He lost 5 strokes putting. I would roll those shares to Lipsky. It's a guy that I don't know a ton about, see him in Europe, but when he's come over here and he has been playing a decent amount here, of course, this year, guy's making cuts. He's made 5 of 6. Good at API, 4 strokes on the approach, 4 strokes with the putter. It seems like he just knows what he's doing. And now we are truly in make a cut range. I want to say Matt Wallace, but I just can't do it. Can you?
I want to, because he was the cheat code of Texas last year.
He has been as bad as anyone on tour in the last month.
Yeah, maybe you should stop blaming his caddy for everything and like maybe mellow out. He makes Tyrrell Hatton from time to time look like a proper Englishman because Matt Wallace can lose his mind. He's gone nuts a couple of times. I think he was the guy that I was like, oh, he might get in an actual fight with his caddy because they were screaming at each other at San Antonio. That final round, Jordan Spieth, Charlie Hoffman, and him. It was bonkers to watch his anger. So Matt Wallace, not really an exciting guy, and probably won't go there. I said I want to because he's had some flashes. I mean, we were talking 3rd Texas Open, 6th at the Wells Fargo. I mean, like legitimate top finishes at big events, but not an opportunity to really go his direction, as sad as that is down here at the bottom. What do you think about Martin Keimer? This is a guy that obviously is a major champion out of the middle of nowhere. It feels like there's just times that Martin Keimer pops out of the middle of absolute nowhere. And if you're going to take shots up in this range, it might as well be a guy that, you know, at Memorial, 3rd out of the middle of nowhere. I mean, that's kind of what you're looking for in a tournament. Maybe he can be a difference maker. I'm not saying you play him in anything more than like 4 or 5%, but like if I'm trying to make a case for somebody, I probably like him more than I like anybody 60 and under outside of David Lipsky. Maybe JT Poston, if we throw his rounds out the window last week. He was chalky, actually, like 5% for a sub 7K guy. It was pretty weird, but I don't see a ton sub 6,800 I really like. So I'm willing to kind of make up a case for a lot of these guys.
Yeah, there's not a ton down here. I'm not going to go to Keimer. I would rather take a shot on a young gun. Okay. Davis Riley, not that I think he's playing well, but he is a young gun. Hayden Buckley. The guy's lost 4 or more strokes putting in 3 straight events, but he's made the cut in 2 of 3. So there is some good positive ball striking with a guy like that. Steven Yeager.
Throw your hands up in the Jaeger.
I mean, he again, he does what you want around the green. His approach game is broken, but you're starting to get down to the real cheapies. Like Stanley is down there. Wesley Bryan is down there. My goal with all this is I'm not going to go down there unless I really need to.
Okay. That sounds like an all right way of putting it. Also, I think Martin Keimer's only played in the Valspar one time. David Porter didn't go particularly well. Miscut, lost 3.2 strokes game putting. I mean, I'm just kind of trying to make up a case for a guy there in that range. I don't have a ton for you.
Yeah, again, I think that unless you're paying up for some type of aggressive build, I'm just not sure why I would go down here. But at the same time, like to me, Wyndham Clark, I'm just using him as an example. Wyndham Clark is 6,100 in this field. If he made one more cut recently, he would be like 69. He would be with Lee Hodges, and I wouldn't bat an eye. Like, so to me, the range is almost interchangeable with some of these guys. Like, what is the difference between him and Tyler Duncan and Roger Sloan versus Keimer, Zach Johnson, and John Hu?
Yeah. Well, I mean, if you're going to go to that direction, I mean, don't we have to click on our boy Trey Mullinax? I mean, this isn't kind of the golf course for him, but 2 top 30s in the last 3 weeks that he's played. So, I mean, there's something like that you could even draw off of. Yeah.
So he's going to be one. I want to see exactly what the conditions are going to be like. If it looks somewhat, and scoring and streaks and things like that, you're going to give me the par fives. He's fantastic. The guy obviously can do it. I don't mind that at all. So, I think that's where you need to look. Like everything, let's not get crazy. All right, we got.
No, don't forget Barn Rat 6,200.
Barn Rat,
Monday Q.
You want to build a lineup?
Yeah, it's party.
All right, let's do it. Let's build a lineup here. All right, where do you see us going here? We're going to build a tournament lineup. So this is going to be cash. If you got cash questions, tune in tomorrow. Me and Jason Roslin, we'll got you covered live before lock. But where do you think we should get started?
Fitzy, 9K, first click. We're both on him. Favorite play. Not named Sam Burns, but we already knew that. All
right. Let's go balance then. Not that we have to just go balance, but I'm going to click Noren right after him. Noren's just playing good golf. I don't know why it wouldn't continue here.
I love that play. I mean, I'm just going to be firing him up.
So we got Fitzy, we got Noren. And yeah,
I didn't talk about this guy, but I do have a lot of interest in him coming off of back-to-back weeks there. Didn't play at the Players. Christian Bezadenhout. This is a guy our friend Geoff has been on quite a bit here. I guess we're kind of playing the more tactician type plays, guys who are good putters here in this lineup. Beezy's as good of a putter as anybody.
No doubt about it. I have no problem with that. Obviously, this guy, he doesn't have the off the tee game sorted out, but he gets away with it.
Doesn't have to hit as many drivers here.
You don't. So to that theme, if we're going to go with some of these type of guys, I'll get a little salary savings. I'm going to put in Denny McCarthy. Okay. He doesn't do it off the tee. He's automatic with the putter and he's making cuts. He's 7,400. Now we have 2 spots left and we've got $8,500.
Man, this is like the most salary we've ever had coming into like these last 2 picks. Something I kind of want to go back up into like the 9s maybe and just be that guy and click on Sam Burns, but I'm not gonna do that here. What do you think about this upper 7s? Because I'm just not finding a lot that I want to click on right here. I feel like I want to go up a little bit higher to Keegan Bradley, 8,400. I know it's a chalky piece, but Beasley, McCarthy, they're not exactly the guys that we. They're not exactly guys that are going to be that popular here. It seems we'll see kind of what the interest level becomes in some of these other guys in the aftermath of Paul Casey, and that ownership has to go somewhere. But I think this kind of gives you the opportunity to find the pivot that we make here for the last guy in.
So you said Keegan?
Keegan, yeah, 8,400.
So obviously I have no problem with that. The problem
is too chalky.
It's not even just as too chalky. I have no one left. So I don't really want to play HV3 or Woodland. I'm okay with that. I'm not going to play Weber Kisner. You could leave a lot of money on the table, but it's
let's go to Jason Day then and go to 8,100.
What about this?
In that range.
What about this? I'm just going to throw this out there. What about Hatton and Dahman?
Oh, hell yeah.
Leaves 100.
Speak my language. I love Dahman this week. Yeah.
Okay.
Leave 100 on the table. So we'll go Hatton, Dahman. So Fitzy, Noren, Beasley, Hatton, McCarthy, Dahman. I'm in love with that lineup. I
think that's how, again, just to give you some insight into how at least I go about building things. That's a process I do all the time. I get 4 guys and then I just start playing with 2v2s. Like, all right, do I want to go? I started with JT and I had 6K left. That's not going to work. So let me go to the next tier. Hatton, 7,200 left. That's going to work. I have guys right at that number that I can play. Balanced Keegan, to me, that's not going to work. I don't want to play HV3 or Woodland right now in this lineup. So I landed here. You landed here. I think this is a job well done, friends. What do you think?
I love it. Connor Shea, Seabez can't make a birdie. Guess what? There's going to be a lot of difficulty for some guys making birdies out here. I just want a guy who has the potential to finish high, and I think he does.
Yeah, I always struggle with that guy, I'll be honest, but he's a talented player. There's no doubt about it. And he makes a lot of cuts. Very, very talented South African. All right, folks, that will do it for us here with the Valspar, but we have plenty more content from here to Odd Chopper. And again, March Madness is approaching on Thursday. I cannot wait. You guys are the best. Hopping in on a Tuesday with us. We really do appreciate it. It's been an awesome time. We're going to turn it over to the NHL crew. Thanks to Tyler behind the glass. You guys have any questions? Hit us up on Twitter. Until then, until tomorrow, good luck, enjoy the day, and we'll talk to you guys soon.